Welcome to Behind the Book. It's time now for Behind the Book, hosted by Tess Thompson and Karen McQuestion, two authors with a passion for books, no filters, and limitless curiosity. Join them now to find out the real story behind your favorite books and authors. And now, Behind the Book.
Hey everybody, we're here today for our very first podcast with MaryAnn Schaefer. She is the virtual assistant queen, and she's going to share some of her secrets and tell some funny stories about the two women that she works for. Welcome, MaryAnn.
Well, it's wonderful to be here today. Thank you.
All right, so we have lots of questions for you. We're very interested to know the inside scoop. First, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the book biz? And how would you describe your job to people who have no idea what a virtual assistant to an author would do?
I would describe my job as the gopher who does everything that the author doesn't want to do or have time to do so that they can write. Because I want to read more books, so I want them to be writing. And I live in Albuquerque, and I'm an old gray-haired grandma. But I got in the book biz because I met this author named Tess Thompson. I read her book, and I said, how do I get more books? And she said she had a street team, and did I want to join? So I joined the street team, and I kept saying, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried the other? And one day she said, maybe you should work for my hybrid publisher because I think you'd be great at helping authors. And I think really, truly, she just wanted me to shut up and quit giving all these suggestions. So the company hired me, but none of the authors wanted to use me because I had no experience. And then one day Tess came to my rescue and said, why don't you come and work for me? And it's just been a match made in heaven ever since. It's been almost 7 years.
The fact that you put up with me for that long is a miracle.
No, I am very happy to know all of you guys. So that was essentially it.
So you work not just for Tess, there's another author you work with as well. And I'm wondering, what is that like balancing two different authors? And do you have different styles of dealing with what chores you have to do for whoever?
It is so very different because the other lady is a Southern belle. Every time I talk to her on the phone, I come away speaking Southern. And my husband immediately knows, you have been talking to her, haven't you? Because I'm yawling and saying all such as that and bless your heart. And I've got that Southern accent going on just like this. But she's very, very detail oriented. And I notice if I send something through that's got an error, she is on it immediately. So I tend to be a little bit more manic, I think, about what I send her, and I go over everything. Not that I don't normally, but instead of like a fine-tooth comb, I'm there separating grains of rice on her stuff. But she's wonderful, and she has a different following. So I've learned lots about the South and about things like cheer wine, and where Tess is in the Pacific Northwest, and a lot of her followers are in that area. So I've learned a lot about that area too. It's been a lot of fun. But they are extremely different.
And how long have you worked for the second author?
Almost 2 years.
That's amazing. It's been that long. Time flies.
It really does.
All right. So what is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you in your current position?
Wow. One thing that always gets me is when people think that I know every author, because I know the few that I know. So they think I have a direct line to, like, say, Danielle Steele or Catherine Coulter. And they'll say things to me like, can you hook me up? No, I don't have their phone number. I'm really sorry. And they do expect that I know all of them. And I kind of feel like I sometimes need to put on my profile, I don't know anyone but these people. But the other thing that's funny is when I get hyper over one of Susan's issues, when she needs me to work on something, she always tells me, MaryAnn, we're not birthing babies here. And I love that. She says, it's a book. So that's kind of funny. And then there's the people who can't make technology work. And they'll say, I don't know how to get this book on there. And one day I spent 6 hours helping someone. And I just find that she was frustrated and I felt bad for her, but it was very amusing to me because it's so easy.
It's easy when you know how to do it.
It's easy when you know how to do it. And now she knows how to do it, which is wonderful.
Well, and you were used to having to explain things, especially technology, to me. So, you were ready for those people who needed a little extra help.
But I mean, that's my sweet spot. I really like helping people. So it does make me smile and it makes me feel bad for them that they're frustrated, but it is a good aspect.
Very gratifying to help other people.
It is.
That's one of your great gifts, MaryAnn, is just your generosity of spirit, and your just willingness to help and be of service to other people. That's like one of your best qualities, and I think makes you such a good, partner, friend, personal assistant, whatever role you have. You always just put your whole heart into it, and you care so much about the success of the authors that you work for, but also all of their author friends. You're always willing to help everybody. And it's been I feel like I've learned from you over the years about how to be more generous because you're always just so amazing that way.
Well, thank you. You didn't tell me you were going to make me cry today.
All kinds of surprises here on Behind the Book.
Very much.
Well, and
I'm going to be the Barbara Walters of podcasting. Make them cry.
It's good to have a goal. Well, MaryAnn, before this, what did you do? What was your previous career? And did some of those skills carry over to working as a virtual assistant for an author?
Oh, my goodness. My husband was in the military and we moved a lot. So I just did whatever. I have managed a Domino's Pizza and I owned a daycare when we lived in England. And my last job was a hotel inspector. And all of those jobs helped me a lot because they were customer oriented. So that's where I think my strength is in dealing with other people. And also the hotel job especially was very detail oriented. You have to catch everything that's wrong when those hotel rooms get inspected. And I was on their technology beta testing team. So that helped for this too. I don't think the Domino's job really did help me though. Not as far as books go, but we got free pizza.
Always a bonus.
Yeah, well, I did not know that about your Domino's job. We have that in common because I worked in a pizza place when I was in high school and after I got out of college, although I was not the manager. I was not that clever.
It was very fun. I enjoyed it. There's never a dull moment.
All right, so I know you read every day. I'm amazed how many books a year you can read. What are some that have been kind of outstanding to you the last couple of years? Maybe even ones that you think other people haven't heard enough about? Give us some advice about what to read next.
This is such a tough question because I could talk forever about books. I love your books, Tess. You know that. I love yours, Karen. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here. And I love to support indie authors because I don't think there's enough support for those people out there. Recently, I found Pamela Kelly's books. Christine Nolfi's upcoming release is very good. Liz Talley has a great book out called Adulting. And the Harry Potter books are always going to be a favorite of mine. I just slip right into that magic world. But I love Heather Weber's magical realism books and Sarah Addison Allen's. And I read across a lot of genres, including true crime, so I could keep you going all day. But indie authors is where it's at.
And have you always been a big reader?
Since I was probably 3. My mom said I taught myself to read when I was 3.
So this
because
I'm sorry, I was going to say this is like a perfect job for you then.
It is. She said I got tired of her reading to me too slow. I don't know if that's true or not. Of course, mothers fib about their children's abilities, so you never know.
I believe that one.
Yeah, I believe that one too. Do you think you taught yourself to read just sight words, or did you know phonetics?
She said it seemed to be that I was picking up on the same words by sight, like cat And pretty soon I could read the first book.
I think that's how it starts.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, out of all the
all-
tasks you do, what is your favorite aspect of working as an author's assistant?
The thing I really, really like is getting the books before other people see them so that I can find the errors, if there are any, so that other people, like the street team, when they read the book, they don't have to mess with all those errors. Because when I read an error in a book, it stops me cold and pulls me out of the story. And I don't want other people to have that experience. So I like to catch what I can. So I beg Tess and Susan to send me their work before other people see it.
She saved me quite a few times.
She saved me
sometimes
as
she
well.
finds yeah, she finds some big things sometimes that are easy to fix, but that would be a huge error to send out into the world.
But I think that's my favorite, besides trying to find ways to help other readers meet my authors.
Connecting the reader to the author.
Definitely.
Especially nowadays with social media, I think there are more opportunities, both for authors and for readers, to connect and to sometimes they like to know the personality of the author and what their life is like. And I think you do a good job sort of facilitating that.
Oh, thank you. I do think that's what people want to know. They want to feel like they know that person. Like when they see a picture of their cat, they say, "Oh, that's Sparky. What's Sparky doing today?" Or Mittens.
Or Boo.
That's right. My cat's Boo. And
all right. So I know there are probably listeners out there who would be interested in pursuing this as a career. Do you have any advice for them? Like, how do they find the right fit? How do they present themselves to an author? Give us some feedback on that.
My biggest thing would be to tell people, only work for people whose work you like, because you cannot easily promote things that you don't already believe in, or at least I can't. Like when I worked in the hotel industry, if I wouldn't sleep in the hotel room, I wouldn't sell it to people. And I feel that way about the books and the authors I work for. Their work is interesting to me, so I want to tell people about it. I would also watch what's going on and how people are marketing themselves, because that way, if you wanted to say, "Hey, I heard you need an assistant," you can be knowledgeable and say, "I looked at your ads, I saw your graphics, and this is where I think that you could improve." Because you don't want to walk in blind and feel like you have no clue who they are as a person. That's my advice. And hang around the book groups, because you hear a lot of things in the book groups, especially in your book escape.
A little shout out for your book escape.
Little shout out. It's the best group there is.
That's on Facebook for those of you who are interested. I guess you just search Your Book Escape and you'll find us. Karen and I are both in there, along with a bunch of other amazing authors.
Oh, so many wonderful authors.
MaryAnn, you know that I've always been envious of Tess and how prolific she is. That's something I've never been able to pull off. So I've started a rumor that you write half of her books. So would you like to address that? Is there any truth to this rumor?
If I wrote half of Tess's books, they would all be like 800 pages, because I am not concise at all. I send Tess these long emails, and I'm sure she thinks, "MaryAnn, you could have said this in one sentence." But I just start typing. Nobody would come near one of her books if I wrote it.
Oh, I love that that's a rumor, though, because I always joke that MaryAnn's way more famous than me. Like, everybody in the book world knows MaryAnn Schaefer. Nobody's heard of Tess Thompson.
No, I would love to write, but honestly, seriously, it would be longer than War and Peace. It just would not be a good thing.
I don't know. War and Peace did pretty well. So,
well, this is true.
Right.
I did think about writing my hotel industry stories, because that's an industry ripe for the plucking. I'm not sure people would believe some of the stories. They would think I made them up.
Well, they always say truth is stranger than fiction, right?
Well, now
is.
Now I almost think you have to tell us at least one of them.
Here's one that always makes me laugh. I went to a hotel, and the grab bar in the shower, it was ripped out of the tub. And I said, "You can't leave this like this. You have to fix it." And the guy had put duct tape over it. So when I came back, I have to look to see if it's been fixed. Well, it was fixed. He painted over the duct tape. And you could see the edges where they were curling, you know how duct tape does? And it was all painted over, and you could see the fabric of the duct tape, all of it. And he didn't understand why that was a problem.
Well, one of us needs to put that in a book because that is a great detail.
Yeah, he was very unhappy with me that day, and he called my boss.
To report you for being too fussy?
Yes, because I was too picky, because he did fix it. I didn't make it clear that he needed to get a new grab bar and some epoxy and actually make it look like it was brand new.
Well, sometimes you just have to spell it out for people.
I guess so.
So yes, wouldn't you love to get in a bathtub like that at a hotel?
No, thank you. You're not going to say which name of the hotel, are you? No?
No.
Don't want to get sued for that one.
I have a feeling they may not be still in business.
So are we going to ask MaryAnn our behind the book 10 questions?
Yes, for sure.
Okay,
Are you ready for
Right.
this, MaryAnn?
I am.
All right, these are so fun. What is one food that will never get past your lips?
Escargot.
Who would you want to play you in a movie?
I would love Julia Roberts, even though she looks nothing like me. Barring her, because she is sassy, she can do sassy well. I would say Melissa McCarthy, because she does sassy very well.
What superpower would you pick given the opportunity?
I would like to read people's minds, I think.
Oh, that's a dangerous one.
That's really dangerous. Although it would be great if you could do that and just even more than you already do with me and anticipate all the mistakes I'm going to make and then fix them before they happen.
That's not asking too much.
No. All right. At the end of your life, what will you hope to have accomplished?
Honestly, I think if people just would remember that I tried to help people whenever I could, that would make me really, really happy. And to know that we raised really good kids that have strong ethics and that they're passing that on to their kids. So just
the
send
worst-
my saintly medal right now.
What's the worst job you've ever had?
I sorted fruit one summer in Northern California. It was horrible. We stood outside under a metal awning, and our drinks were available from the hose that was laying in the mud. I lasted one day. Worst job ever.
If you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be?
You know, I would like to be an expert in curing a pandemic. There we go. Or finding lots of new readers for my favorite authors.
2 great answers.
Yeah, those are good. What's your favorite scent?
Lemons.
What is the most terrifying thing you've ever done?
I used to race cars for titles when I was 16 and dating a much older guy who was 22. And the most terrifying thing was when he was too sick to get out of bed and said, I have a race and you have to race, and I don't want to lose my car.
And did you do it?
And I won. I won.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes, and he had a bunch of cars and he gave me one. And that was the most terrifying time, that one race.
How fast?
That is fascinating.
How fast did you go?
It was a quarter mile. I got up to about 80 something
That
Just on
would be terrifying.
It would be terrifying.
on a side street in Northern California by a closed down bar.
Wow.
It was
All
fun.
right. When people pronounce words incorrectly, do you let them know?
Only if it's my husband or somebody that I know would want to know so they don't look like an idiot. Otherwise, I just scream it in my head.
If you could live your life over again, what would you do?
I think I would like to live my life over again if I could change in the middle if I didn't like it. If I could suddenly say, move me back to my old life. But I'd be afraid I couldn't get out of there. And what if I had made worse mistakes in high school? Because high school is a killer.
Yeah, if you could start maybe at age 19, that might
That
be
would
good.
be good.
Absolutely.
I always tell my daughters, I'm like, you guys, you just got to get through high school. It's the worst. Everything is so much better from there.
That's the truth.
I'm always suspicious of people that say they loved high school. That something's not right here.
Well, they were probably the football jock or the cheerleader.
That's probably true. But
Yeah.
even those people, they, sometimes on the surface, people look like they're doing great. But everybody's
Yes.
got something.
True.
True. Definitely true. All right. Well, MaryAnn, this has been really fun. And I can't believe after 7 years, I learned something new about you, a couple new things.
Well, I have had a great time. Thank you very much, ladies, for asking me.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We're so glad you agreed to do this.
Well, have a wonderful afternoon.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Behind the Book, brought to you by authors Tess Thompson and Karen McQuestion. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and post a question in the comment section. This has been Behind the Book.